Did you know the LA Kings have their own culinary partner? It's Superfood, celebrating 10 years and over 1 million meals served. Since 2020, the Kings have trusted Superfood to fuel their players. Now through Simply Lunch, you can bring that same performance-driven food to your office. Because when people eat better, they work better. Visit mysuperfood.com. That's mysuperfd.com. Or call 213-973-6145. Qualified companies can enjoy a free lunch for up to 10 managers.
Final seconds on the power play. Second unit came on, and it's a score! Brant Clark with the shot. It deflects in with just 1 second left on the power play.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings.
Hands it to Byfield. Saucer pass out to center. Fiala with Kempe. 2-on-1 if they hurry. Fiala steps in. Fiala to the middle. Fiala waits. Can't shoot. Drops it back. Swung on and missed. Kempe's got it. He scores! Adrian Kempe, the overtime winner.
Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
It is Monday. That means it's time to crown another King of the Week. Joining me to help out, Taylor Paerels. You know him as Kings Uniform History on social media. How are you doing today, Taylor?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jesse?
I'm excellent, thank you. This is your first time doing King of the Week, and I couldn't have picked a worse week for you to do it, so I apologize in advance.
Yeah, definitely a rough one. At least I got a couple wins.
So just for anybody who's listening who may not be aware, we are covering the last week of LA Kings hockey, and we were picking the best player in that week from the LA Kings. And that includes games, a 2-1 win over the Ottawa Senators, a 2-1 overtime win over the Vancouver Canucks, and a 5-4 shootout loss to the Anaheim Ducks. So they get points in all three games, Taylor. And yet it just doesn't feel that great.
No, it definitely felt like at least 2 losses, maybe all 3. A very boring game against Ottawa that they at least somehow pulled out in the third period. A game they should have taken 2 points against Anaheim. And another game against Vancouver where they got the 2 points, but it was a rough game.
I mean, here's the crazy thing. We're talking about it as if they went 0-3. They went 2-0-1.
Yeah,
they
5
got
out of 6
5
points.
out of 6 points. The only downside is they lost to Anaheim in a game where they had a 2-goal lead in the third period. And if it was an East Coast team, I don't think I'd care.
Yeah,
but it's Anaheim, and first place in the division was on the line, so I care deeply. Also, it was Thanksgiving week, so there was nothing else to do but think negative thoughts about the team, I guess. Unless you're one of those people who likes to think positive thoughts, in which case you're probably pleased as punch that this week went the way it did, because let's face it, 2-0-1 extrapolated out over a long season. And that's the silver lining I keep trying to come back to, is no matter how bad things are getting, even if I feel this bad about the week and they still went 2-0-1, things are probably okay.
Yeah, they're still tied for the division lead, so it's looking fine in that regard.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. We're going to start with you. Your honorable mention for this week.
My honorable mention is going to be Brian Dumoulin. I think he had a really solid week. 3 assists. They were all secondary, but just helped to drive the plays at least, or at least break out of the zone. He wasn't on for any of the goals against, it looks like, and he had highest average time on ice across those 3 games.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you did more homework than I did. I did see that he had the points. I didn't know about the time on ice stat, which I probably should have. I'm going to go ahead and look up while we're talking how many goals against he was on, because there weren't, other than the Anaheim game, it was a 1-1 game against Vancouver, and then a 2-1 game against Ottawa, and then a 4-4 game against the Ducks. But yeah, my hunch is that the who was on the ice for the goals against was probably pretty evenly distributed amongst the Kings, but this could absolutely be one of those situations where one guy just somehow avoided every goal. So I'm sorry, as I ramble, I'm pulling it up here real quick. Goals against Brian Dumoulin. Yeah, 3 goals for, 0 goals against at even strength across those 3 games, and I'll adjust it for all strengths. And Brian Dumoulin, 3 goals for, 0 goals against. There's only one other player with that stat line on the team for this week. So Brian Dumoulin's an excellent pick. And like you said, wait, where'd he go? I lost him already. Here we go. 68 minutes and 30 seconds over that 3-game stretch, most on the team for any player, let alone the defense. So yeah, Brian Dumoulin, I think, is a perfectly good honorable mention and a pretty strong week. I may wind up having to pick him higher up the list. My honorable mention is going to be Anton Forsberg, because he only played one game, and it was the Vancouver Canucks game. But that game was what's the nice word for it? Unpredictable. There were goals called back. There was, shorthanded chances against him. Like, that was a game that at any moment, if he loses his focus, that game goes south. And if, as it is, we're talking about a week where they go 5 out of 6 possible points. But if they had beaten Ottawa barely 2-1, then choked up a game against, Anaheim with first place on the line, and then the very next day lost in regulation 2-1, this week takes a much darker turn. The Kings should have beaten Vancouver. They should have scored more goals. It should have been 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. But Forsberg did his part, right? Like, Anton Forsberg did his job in the one game that he got into this week. So honorable mention for me goes to Anton Forsberg.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the first period, the first of the 2 goals that were called back for Vancouver. If he doesn't get just a toe on that to keep it just on the line, Vancouver takes that early lead, and who knows what happens from there.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, in my mind, things like that don't factor in, but in application, when we actually get around to doing these, it always 100% matters to me. So yeah, Anton Forsberg, my honorable mention. Your runner up then, Taylor.
My runner up, I've got Adrian Kempe. He only had two points for the week, the overtime winner in the game against Vancouver, and an assist on Kopitar's goal in the game. Looks like he had 8 shots for the week, and I think this is the first 2-point game since October 23rd. So he's been getting points, but not necessarily in the same game. So I think just the game against Vancouver is a good bounce back. See him get those, hopefully build some confidence for some of the games moving forward.
Okay, my runner-up, and I think that's an excellent pick. My runner-up is going to be Brandt Clarke. He had, what did he have? 3 points, I think, this week.
Yep.
A goal, 2 assists, 3 points, +1, 4 penalty minutes, and the game-winning goal against Ottawa. And Brandt Clarke, especially with Drew Doughty out of the lineup, Brandt Clarke, he played 62 minutes, 24 seconds, third most among defensemen in these 3 games, behind Edmondson and Dumoulin. So much of the rhetoric around this team, so much of the expectation around this team, so much of the conversation about who is this team, what is this team, what are they going to be in the future, revolves around Brandt Clarke's evolution. And they are not handing it to him. He is going to have to earn, bite, claw, and scratch his way to every point and every second of ice time. So when he has a week, and he was on the ice for 3 goals against at all strengths, 3 goals against, 3 goals for, 1 goal against. He was on the right side of 50% in Corsi and Fenwick, in shots on goal, in expected goal 4%, in scoring chances for, in high danger chances for, in high danger goals for. It was 1-1. When he's on the ice, the save percentage is 95.45. The shooting percentage, he very clearly improves the team when he's on the ice. And like I said, they're not handing it to him. So when he goes out there and takes it, I think you have to acknowledge it.
Absolutely. I think he really stepped up in some of these games. That power play goal being how the power play has looked really rough the last several weeks, especially with Doughty out of the lineup. I think him getting that goal, especially it standing up as the game winner, really helped. He had that really nice assist on Turcotte's goal against Anaheim.
Oh, an incredible assist,
just
by the way. Thank you for
what a
mentioning.
pass.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
And alongside him being with Dumoulin, I think that pair just did really well together. Only knock on Clark this week was the one goal that Vancouver did score. End of a long shift, doesn't get the puck in deep on his second opportunity. I mean, that's just kind of the way things are going to go occasionally.
And, I'm assuming you're talking about the one where Kane comes out of the penalty box and gets on the breakaway. That's one of those goals where that kind of goal happens every now and then.
Yeah.
And I was even looking at it. I was like, ooh, would that have been a 2-line pass back in the day? And I'm not really sure. I don't remember. It was close, but one way or the other. But that one I'm willing to chalk up to, I don't know what's going on with the power play. It was not technically a shorthanded goal because Kane was the guy who came out of the box, but it came at the very end of a power play. It came as the result of yet another failed power play, right? If they score a goal there, none of that scenario is set up that way. So I'm willing to take a portion of the blame off of Clark's shoulders on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So that is where are we at now? So we've got Clark, Kempe, Forsberg, and Dumoulin. It is time then for you to name your King of the Week.
Well, we already talked about him a little bit. I'll just keep talking about Brandt Clark as my pick for King of the Week. Also have here, he also had 8 shots, same as Kempe. 4 blocks on the week as well. So I think just him getting those elevated minutes, 20 plus a game, especially into the overtime periods. He also hit the crossbar, I believe, in the game against Vancouver. He scores that one, 2 game-winning goals and 2 assists on the week. I think he locks that up for sure. So I think just a really strong week for him, and he needs to just keep that up while Doughty's out of the lineup. Hopefully then power play opportunities, the like, will also start to improve if he can at least just be consistent over this next week or two before Doughty gets back.
All right. Well, you convinced me. I'm changing my vote. I'm making Clark the King of the Week. I don't know why I had him as the runner-up. That's that you talked me into it. So I guess we don't really need to say much more about Brandt Clark. He definitely had a great week, and now I just have to go back in retrospect and name a runner-up. And man, I should have. All right, so for runner-up, you talked about Dumoulin. Dumoulin had a great week. Joel Edmondson had 3 points. I'm just going to talk my way through my process right now. Joel Edmondson with a goal, and assist, and 3 points. Kevin Fiala with a goal and an assist and 2 points. You know what? I'm going to go with Alex Turcotte for my runner-up, not my King of the Week. My runner-up is Alex Turcotte because I think that I talked about this a little bit on the Royal Half Radio post-game show after the Vancouver game. I think the Turcotte, Malott, and our Perry line has been maybe not the best line, but like the most consistent, effective line. Yeah. And Alex Turcotte continues to win faceoffs. Alex Turcotte continues to rack up points and plus minuses. He's not taking over the world, but he's dealing with fourth line minutes. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you're playing 10 minutes a night or something like that. Actually, I come to think of it, he's -3. So whoops, maybe he's not racking up the plus minuses, but he's got, and he's only got 4 points. What the heck? I thought, well, anyway, 2 of those 4 points came in this week. And I just think that line has been really good. 1 point, man, I am way off on this. Shame on me. Not a good showing out of me. But two games, 1 goal, 1 point, +1. Oh man, even his faceoffs, man. All right, I'm taking it back. I can't do Alex Turcotte, even though I thought he's played incredibly well. Oh man, I'm just bad at this week.
This week was not good for a lot of the staff.
I mean, the reality is I want to pick a bunch of guys because I just think maybe I'll just leave it blank this week. I just think this team is kind of at a place now where, like, when they win, it's by committee, and when they lose, it's by committee. Somebody asked me who the MVP was a couple of weeks, and at the time I said, like, I think it's Corey Perry, not because I think Corey Perry has done anything particularly outstanding. It's just he's the one who gets my attention most of the time. So he's my MVP at the time. Now he's trailed off a little bit in points, although not that
He couldn't
much.
keep up the pace that he was at, though. That was a ridiculous pace.
But I mean, he's still at 13 points in 19 games, and he's a
Yeah.
+7. I mean, he's still having a great season for a 40-year-old fourth liner. But yeah, he's not, Kempe's leading the way with 22 points. So it's obviously not, not that good, but he's pretty darn good. But like at the time, like I said, I don't know, Adrian Kempe. Is Adrian Kempe the MVP so far this season? I don't think so. He's having a decent season, but he's not like the MVP. So I was just like, maybe Corey Perry. So anyway, King, my runner-up, I got to get back to this. I got to pick something. You know what? I'm just going to echo you. I'm going to say Adrian Kempe. So Kempe is going to get double votes for runner-up, and Clark's going to get double votes for King of the Week. So congratulations, Brant Clark, this week's King of the Week. All right, Taylor, so that was this week, and that was 2 games at home, 1 game on the road, but the road game was a Ducks game, so, we all know how that goes, but it was the holidays. It was Thanksgiving. There were back-to-backs. It was a little bit wonky. This week coming up, the LA Kings start out on Tuesday against the Capitals. Then they have back-to-back games. I shouldn't say back-to-back. They have a game on Thursday and a game on Saturday, but it's against the same opponent. It's 2 consecutive games against the Chicago Blackhawks. And that ends this particular homestand. Then they go back out on the road after that for a short 2-game road trip. I kind of need them to get another 4 out of 6 points in this coming week.
Yeah, they need to improve this home record. They can't just rely on the road record to carry them to the playoffs like 2 years ago. So they're going to have to pick up some wins here. Maybe it's going to take some more boring hockey against the Blackhawks, as Bernard put it, and just shut them down, play strong defensively. We talked about Edmondson and Clark and Dumoulin this week. If they can continue the strong defensive play and start chipping in, continue chipping in offensively, some of these games, they've got to just shut down these young players like Chicago's got.
Yeah, the Central Division is looking very familiar. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota are in the top 1, 2, 3 spots at the time of this recording. The Pacific and the rest of the West, there's all these young teams that we're sort of used to being bad. So like all of a sudden Anaheim's in first place in the Pacific. Seattle and Chicago are the 1 and 2 wildcard spots. Utah is tied with Chicago for 27 points and San Jose at 27 points. So there's a lot of these teams that you're wondering, are they going to fall off a cliff? If the Blackhawks are going to fall off a cliff, it needs to start soon. Otherwise, the season's just going to keep going and they're just going to keep being there. So if some of these teams need to start falling away, it's got to start. And this is the Kings' opportunity to push, to be that little just 2-finger push of the Blackhawks, over the edge. And if it doesn't go that way, yeah, I don't know, man. All of a sudden the Blackhawks stick around another week. And I don't think you can do that forever.
Yeah. And I mean, just earlier, they were able to knock off Anaheim. Anaheim opens up with 2 goals in the first minute. Chicago wins 5-3. So they're not going to go away easily. You've got to take them seriously. These aren't the Blackhawks of the last few years where you can go in almost expecting a win. You have to play them as though they're a playoff team.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about your social media account before we wrap this up, because when I first saw your account, not going to lie, I was a little bit nonplussed. I was a little bit like, wow, who cares? And the more you did it, the more I said to myself, well, he obviously cares. And I am a great lover of commitment to the bit. Like if somebody says something and it isn't funny, and then they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, eventually I will find it hilarious just for the fact that they never gave up on it. So the longer you did and for those who maybe don't know what I'm talking about, you track the records of the LA Kings in each version of their uniforms. So if I want to know, well, what was the Kings record in the Burger King uniform? You may not know it off the top of your head, but I trust that you know how to figure it out and probably have it written down somewhere. I don't know when I'll ever want that information or what use it would ever be, but I love the fact that you care about it and you're committed to it. So how on earth did you decide that this was going to be your lane within the world of hockey?
Well, it was just one of those things. I grew up and was always interested in what jerseys teams were wearing, whether it was the Kings or who they were playing against. If it was the Predators were coming into town, okay, I'll want to go to that game. I want to see the Predators with the saber-toothed cat logo. And as I just got older and I was in college and I had a lot of free time, and I just thought, well, how have they done? How many times have they played these uniforms? What about more rare instances where maybe they wore something special or the other team changed uniforms the next season? So it just built on that. Once I had spreadsheets of this information, well, I had to do something with that, so it wasn't just sitting out there on the cloud. So I just started sharing it and finding new information, new photos of games I had no idea existed, and I thought other people might be interested in seeing them. I'm not saying that, they do 60% better when they wear all black or something. This is just tracking how have they done.
But this is the interesting thing about it, and this is why I always appreciate commitment to the bit. 2 years ago, whatever it was, when the Kings changed back to the 90s look, when they had abandoned the home plate and they went to back to the Chevy, the adapted Chevy with the updated crown and font and everything. I had remembered reading an article once upon a time. There was an interview with Bruce McNall and a couple of the players, I think, and it told the story of how they went from purple and gold to that jersey in the first place. Right. And I remembered thinking, I was like, this feels relevant. I should go try and find that article. Found the article, found a bunch of other articles, went down a deep dive. Took me about a day and a half to sort of collect everything that I wanted to collect. But I realized there is, for lack of a better word, academia on the subject out there, right? Somebody recorded it. The information's out there. Yeah. It's disappearing slowly as people don't maintain their websites. So I tried to bookmark and copy and paste and save as much of it as I could. And again, I don't know how much of it will be useful, but now when people say, the Kings were just ripping off the Raiders, I can yell at them and say that is not correct. That is actually factually incorrect. The Kings were not ripping off the Raiders. It was a coincidence. It might be a 3 steps removed situation where the Kings were ripping off a different team who was ripping off a different team who was ripping off the Raiders. That's entirely possible.
I think it might have been the Hull Olympics.
It was.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, do you know who bought the Hull Olympics a few years before the Wayne Gretzky trade to the LA Kings?
I remember seeing it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, there you go.
And I believe he was in charge of the club when they changed the colors from blue and yellow to black, white, and silver. And then when he was traded to the Kings, that coincided with the change to black, white, and silver. Now, maybe Wayne Gretzky loved the Raiders and just, but who knows? But the point is, it's not like some simple 1-for-2 switch. And so that's why, and you said, you don't know what the record in black and white is. And, you're not trying to suggest that it's a better record, but that is, and has been studies. And is that the right way to say that, past tense? Studies have been done in the past over the record of teams that wear black. And I think it has included the San Antonio Spurs and the LA Kings and maybe the Yankees. And the argument that was made was black is more intimidating, and opponents, even if it's subconscious, even if it's a marginal advantage to teams that wear all black, the argument of the studies were that it does exist. And the only thing you can base those on is comparing records of teams that wear black and teams that don't, because you can't go back in time, take somebody off of the basketball court, throw them on an analyst couch, and start asking them if their deep, darkest subconscious fears of the color black are manifesting in the middle of the game. So I appreciate it. Information is a double-edged sword. You can have too much of it in the wrong hands, but there's no such thing as too much of it in the hands of the truly curious. People without an agenda who just want to know how things work, more information is always better. The only time information is dangerous is when people who are out there seeking to, look to weaponize it, but you can't worry about that So you have committed yourself to the acquisition and collating of data, and I appreciate it because I appreciate consistency and standards, and you have proven to be committed to both of those things. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming on and helping me crown a King of the Week too.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate being here.
And for anybody who cares, Taylor and I went through Taylor's personal rankings of all the iterations of LA Kings jerseys that that the Kings have worn over the years, and you can find that on the Royal Half Radio podcast channel. Taylor, thanks again. Kings fans, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thank you.